and welcome to Tpass Member Chat. I'm about to talk to Charley Oulton. Charley is the Business Services graduate with Orbit. Charley came to my attention by her posts within our National Engagement Professionals Network. We've got around 170 housing staff in there right now, and Charley is certainly stuck out. She's in there very generously sharing all of the ways that Orbit are responding to the pandemic to keep their engagement activities strong at Orbit. I want to know more about the practicalities of her job right now and to find out what she's learned from networking with her peers across the country. Hello Charley, and thank you so much for joining me today on Tpass Member Chat.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So first up, I wanted to talk to you about being part of the Tpass Engagement Professionals Network, which we set up to connect housing professionals across the country. Now, I am biased. I think it's a wonderful network, but I wanted to hear from you as someone who's participating in that. Why are you on there so much, and how is it helping you in your role?
I just think it's a great opportunity for collaboration, really, and particularly being new to customer engagement and new to the engagement manager role, I just see the importance in being able to share some of the best practice in the sector, to bounce ideas off each other, and also to identify some of the priorities that we all have that are similar, that we can kind of collaborate on and work together rather than working individually within our own organisations.
Mm-hmm. And I'm on there every day, and I'm seeing that you're on there as well, and you're very, very generous with what you're up to, and you're sharing files. Have you learnt anything particularly from being on there as well?
Yeah, definitely. I've learnt a lot, mainly around us having the same sorts of challenges, and like kind of sharing some of the things we've worked on, what's been successful, what hasn't, also like reinventing the wheel. So there's been things that people have shared with me on there which has allowed me just to use straight away rather than go away, kind of tweak, create our own version. So it's definitely helping me in my role.
And I believe from seeing some of the content that you've been putting on that network that you're hosting regular webinars with staff and residents. And just to echo some of the questions that you've been having on that network and maybe dig a little bit deeper, a lot of them for engagement professionals are asking on that network how you've gone about putting on those webinars, what tools are you using, and what kind of impact and insight have you had from doing those webinars?
Okay, so for webinars at the moment, we've been using Skype for Business. It was just approved by our information and governance team. We are moving towards Microsoft Teams, but for the time being, that hasn't been fully rolled out in our organisation yet. But what it allows customers to do is to join as a guest, so they don't need to create an account or anything. They can just join that meeting straight away. We've also used a platform called Slido alongside it, which is almost like a engaging platform for audience participation. So you can post polls on there, you can post quizzes, you can really moderate that question and answer session and prioritise some of the questions that are popular with people on that call. Hopefully moving forward with Teams again, it will allow us not to have to use those two separate platforms and just host that all in one platform, which will be easier for customers. We also use our digital engagement platform called Your Voice, which is an off-the-shelf product that we've got in just to learn our requirements before building our own platform eventually in the future. There's loads of different things that we've learned. One around having customers on the call before we invite the members onto the call or employees on the call, just making sure they're set up and having that nice conversation with them, and also just around exploring different times that those calls work and having something for everybody. So one of the things that has been picked up is how do we engage customers at the moment that might not have access to that tech or are not able to have access to that tech. We do supportive programs in terms of grants to get equipment and training for that, but actually some people might just prefer to engage in the way that they're used to, and therefore all the activities that we run online or via webinar, we also run via a conference call as well.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, that's one of the hurdles that we're trying to get over here myself, with Tpass Chat. I started off with one of our video conferencing softwares, and it's quite easy to use. You've got to have the app, etc. But it wasn't necessarily a common one that everyone's jumped onto, so it was a bit of more extra effort for people uploading the app. And then I also discovered that some of the tenants that I was speaking to just didn't have access to the broadband all the time because they were in sheltered housing schemes, so they couldn't get hold of, they couldn't go into a lounge with shared broadband all the time. So it's a practical thing you've got to think about, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing for us, is we want to have a range of different opportunities for customers to get involved in the way which suits them, and we've realised that really is the key to engagement, is having that opportunity in the ways they want to engage. Not everybody is going to want to engage in the same ways.
Absolutely. And just talking, I know one of the things that you've shared on your on your webinars and within workplace is talking about big challenges. So I just want to mirror back your big challenge question. What is your big challenges right now in your role? What's causing you the headaches at night?
Just getting everyone involved in the way that they would like to be involved, and understanding what the barriers are for engagement. So we have a lot of conversations trying to understand what the barriers are, but a lot of the time it's with those that are already engaged with us. So it's reaching those people that aren't engaged, understanding what their barriers are, and then amending our offer to suit that, to make sure that every customer's voice is heard. And also I'd say the second biggest challenge that we had is bringing the organisation on like a bit of a cultural journey to change from a classic example, sharing drafts and getting customers' comments, to actually co-creating with customers and seeing the value of, if we are hosting training workshops, bring customers into those meetings, bring them into the training sessions, bring them into the workshops. There's so much value from it. So I guess they're the two biggest challenges that we've got at the moment.
And they're massive challenges, aren't they? And particularly for the challenge of culture, our national engagement standards, is all hung off having the right culture embedded across the organisation. Have you found, I don't know how long you've worked with Orbit for, but have you found that the culture is changing more rapidly than you've ever seen it before?
Yeah, so I've worked at Orbit for 18 months. I started off as a graduate on a graduate scheme and recently been promoted to the customer engagement manager role, which is fantastic for me. I haven't been there too long, so I guess one of the advantages, but also is a disadvantage at sometimes, is I haven't got all of the experience that a lot of engagement professionals have, in terms of, we've tried this hasn't worked. And I came from an SME, so like a small to medium enterprise, that was really innovative. We had ideas all the time. We were given the autonomy just to go ahead and try them out. And actually, I think that fresh air that I've brought into the organisation of just, let's try this, let's try that, let's see how it goes, has actually brought a new culture and almost like revitalised our engagement offer. And I've been able to, luckily, kind of challenge some of the things that we've always previously thought of as engagement and ask those blunt questions.
Yeah, and asking questions is always a positive. So it's not a flaw to have, is it? That's very welcome. What does your things to do list look like then, right now, Charlie?
God, so we've got a lot to do. One being collaboration. A lot of the priorities that we've got on our priority list, I absolutely want to work with other people around the sector and outside of the sector on, to get some fresh thinking. But we're thinking of doing something completely different in engagement and running some scrutiny hackathons. So people might have heard of Task and Finish before, or a scrutiny panel. It's a brand new way of leading a scrutiny offer, but it would actually be run almost like an innovation hackathon would be, so in a 1 to 2 day kind of boot camp exercise. So that's definitely on our to-dos in terms of shaping that package and what it looks like and how we promote that to customers and get them involved. And also it is pulling all of the engagement activity that we have across the organisation all under one umbrella. So we've recognised that we engage with customers on a local basis through a couple of teams, property managers, community investment, independent living. We also do it on an individual basis, so through complaints, through our perception surveys, through our transactional surveys that are done through real-time feedback. And then we also do it on a strategic level. And we've got that golden thread of engagement right from that individual feedback that customer gives all the way to a local level, to a strategic level, and then up to board. So I guess what we want to do whenever we're communicating the work that engagement does is make sure we're telling that full picture from all perspectives, rather than just focusing on some of the strategic activities that our team deliver.
Wow, what a things to do list, Charlie. Out of this, I'm sure you're going to leave a massive legacy, really, from this intense time to make change.
Definitely. Wow, hope so. But yeah, it is a massive to-do list, but I'm just excited, definitely.
You can hear that. Finally, is there any company or organisation that you've been watching or been inspired by on how they're handling engagement or communications at the moment?
Probably outside of the sector would be a lot of the clothing companies, how they've adapted their processes that they would never usually have to adapt, how they're doing things in a new innovative way, like you can try sunglasses on virtually now. But also inside the sector, I would say that to everyone on the Engagement Professionals Network, everyone has been so kind, so open, so transparent, which I think is really, really important. So there hasn't been any talk about, oh, we're doing this and this is great. We're all very open on what our challenges are. We're all open to share some of the things we've tried that has worked and hasn't worked, because that is the important thing, is those capturing those lessons learned and doing something with it. So I'd definitely say just the engagement that I've seen on there, the togetherness, the community even on the platform has been brilliant, and is definitely something that I would aspire Orbit to contribute towards too.
Oh, thank you so much, and we really appreciate the extra plug for the Tpass Engagement Network. So if anyone's listening and they want to join it, then just get in touch with Tpass and join Charley on there. So thank you so much for your time then, Charley. It's very, very much appreciated. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you on the network.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Thanks.